The German Empire, Germany as a political state, doesn't come into existence until 1871. Prior to that, Germany was a geographic expression, a vague one, which described a large area in Central Europe where a lot of people who, wore leather shorts and or something like that, and spoke similar German dialects were nominally Germans, but they might be Prussians or Bavarians or, they came in all sorts of varieties and relations. There was no German identity. Something very similar happened in Italy in the same period. I mean, there weren't Italians. There were Sardinians, and there were Romans, and there were Sicilians, Umbrians, spoke, again, dialects of a similar language, but had never lived, not since the Roman Empire, under a single state, and really didn't think of themselves as the same. So you have to create this artificial thing. You have to create Germans. There's now a Germany with an emperor, and so we're all going to be Germans. Well, exactly what is that? Much of it is an artificial creation. You have to decide upon some sort of standard dialect. Okay, we'll decide what that is. Often dialect that only a few people actually speak, and then it will be drilled into children's heads through state schooling programs. So I think this is the kind of milieu that it comes out of. People were trying to figure out what on earth Germans actually were, and the need for some sort of common identity. And, that leads to everything like Wagnerian opera. Richard Wagner wanted to create a German mythical music. So he went back and strip mined old German myths and cobbled them together into a lot of people standing on stage singing. And that was his purpose. He was a nationalist. He was in many ways a kind of racialist nationalist. And this was his idea of trying to create, out of bits and pieces of the past, a newfangled form of German identity. So on the more mystical end of this, you had the ideas that, well, Germany must have been created for some special purpose because the Germans must be very special people, and we must have some sort of particular destiny. And then out of this, the direction this is heading, well, we're all part of some sort of master race with some sort of ties to some sort of great civilization in the past. Call it Thule, call it whatever you want to be. They basically just invent things and try to attach those to the past. And so Ariosophy was the Aryanized version of theosophy. And what this did was to take the idea that spiritual and physical evolution had led to the most advanced form of human beings, which were the Aryans, and the most advanced group of them were, of course, the Germans. And this attracted appeal. Keep in mind, again, this was not a mass movement. It was very much a fringe movement. Most people weren't aware of it and weren't particularly interested in it, but it had an appeal for those who already had a kind of esoteric bent in some form or another. And this is where things like the Germanen Orden, the German order, and their other groups, it was only one of many, sort of grew out of. And what it was that the Thule Society as a branch, the Thule Gesellschaft, was supposed to do was to study this. It was an esoteric study group. And so people would get together and they'd talk about things, probably make more stuff up, and all sort of work around this idea of German Aryans as the most advanced type of human beings and all the wonderful things that the future would hold. And the fact that this was in the midst of a war in which Germany was, again, fighting as they saw it for its existence, heightened those kinds of tensions as well. So my suspicion, again, is that Zebotendorf, in terms of who was behind him, that he was essentially called back to Germany to work either for the Prussian political police or for some aspect of German intelligence or security to try to mobilize occultism or esotericism for the war effort. Because again, this is 1918. The war it's gone on way too long. Within a few months, Germany will collapse, and it will collapse simply from the psychological exhaustion of the population.